just depends on productivity. I don't know that Mary gets all your numbers so that I can do an actual cost, because I think I just get what you hours out of pocket, like concrete, fiber, and all that stuff. But I guess we could roll payroll into it somehow. And then all of our equipment, some sort of.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that at some point in the future, we can always say, well, we need to do this next year, at least you know how much it's gonna cost, we can put in the budget, okay, we're gonna do this much.
Well, we have those numbers and we do budget.
We've got
All material we've got.
Yeah, because out-of-pocket costs have to be budgeted and all that stuff, so it's, normal process for a 4 to 5 inch slab with number 4s on 12-inch centers, is about $2 million a mile for this canal, $2.5 million, and we're doing it. You're doing 4,000 feet for probably a little more than 600,000, but say 800,000, maybe.
probably, but pretty good.
So a lot of it's been in earthwork.
Yeah.
Those are the projects at this moment that we need to complete before water, so.
And this is the funds from Texas Water Development Board, Johnny, the ones you and I went and gave that presentation with Carlos?
Part of, they're funding 200,000.
They're a good friend, Carlos.
That's when they were our friends.
Yes.
We're funding 2/3 of it and they're funding 1/3.
Right.
So if there's any turnouts or anything like that that need to be repaired, do me a favor, just call the dispatcher, we can place a work order, and that way, we'll make sure not to forget. Because right now, we got so much things going on, and we're running every direction that it's very easy for us to, if you call me, I'll forget an hour later.
Me too.
Doing a good job, Pete.
Good job.
Thank you.
Hell of a job.
All right. 4 foot, Robert?
Well, M&M,
You're gonna release water in January and give us 4 feet?
That's what it was key.
That's the reason you hadn't called me.
He called me yesterday because they were up in Ruidoso last week, this week, at some kind of cotton convention, and he said, "Hey, Robert, I hear you're gonna get 36 inches, and you're gonna start in March." No, we're gonna start in February. But anyway, one thing I want to explain to you about the return flow, like she was telling you, we want to start in February, but it's going to be very poor because there's not going to be the delta flow because they're on the riverside. So I won't have that water, and then I won't have the upper valley because the Marion Canal, they're still working on it. Last year we were able to bring it in March, so if we don't release anytime in March or April, I guess they're going to stay in the Marion Canal, right, too?
well, we've given them notice that we'll release March 1, or that we're thinking of more or less in that area, that they need to be out by March 1.
So, but even if they bring it down, Pete's still gonna be working on the riverside, so all I'm really gonna have is just the Bustamante and the Border Patrol working on the riverside, so that's a no-no. The island feeder, Pete will be working on the island feeder. The only place I'll be able to run return flow will be in Unit 8A and 9A. All 9B will be out of whack. There won't be delivering no return flow there. Because 9B gets fed to the island feeder. Because try to run water down the riverside, you will just forget it. The riverside just takes all the water. You use about 2 heads there. So that's the predicament we got with the return flow. Just giving you a heads up. Okay. Now we talk about water. I've been talking to a lot of these farmers, and some of them get upset. They start yelling at me. I say, guys, I don't have no say so on the release. All I can do is go talk to the board and let them decide. He said, you know, the board is just like a farmer like everybody else. You guys understand crops and dates and stuff like that. So, because they heard the release that was going down in April, and the first thing they started calling me, the rope people, the cotton people, said, well, they ain't gonna do us no good, Robert. You know, we can't do nothing. But what they're being concerned is they want to plant more acres because last year they had more water and they felt that they could have planted more acres. They said, we didn't know in January, February, March that the water was, and we really look at it right now. We only got, you know, 111,000 acre feet. It doesn't look like a lot of water. It's scary even to release in April, but listening to Al, it's gonna get better. Last year, we used 200,000 acre feet. Total allotment, we saved 30, so, and we deliver for 4 months, which is great, you see. Where I started getting a lot of back talk with the farmers, they were gonna release in April and May, it doesn't do no good. The row crop people, which a lot of them are out there, said they're not gonna need no water in April and May, because their window's closed. So all you're gonna do is, and you guys go to the coffee shop and hear it, and said, all you're gonna do is release for the pecan people. I said, I don't know, guys, but,
Small track too.
well, again,
Don't forget the small.
that's another one. But, so coming back
It's
to,
an election year.
coming back to what Chewy and me were trying to say is, we need to set up some kind of target dates, like you were saying, you know, to put it out there so EBID can feed off of us, Metro can feed off of, and all there are is target dates. All there are is target dates. Set them out there, says, okay, this is what our thinking is. We go to the 20th, we go to the farmers, this is what the board's thinking, this target date. And then, you know, and then we can come back to you guys after the 20th, and back in February, we got meetings to go back and talk to them. By February, we'll have a better idea of what's going on.
You got better numbers.
Let me ask a question. I seem to ask this every year now, so to Kenny, it doesn't sink in the answer. Why can we not go on, cut off, and then come back on
But
later?
that's what I was
You can,
thinking.
waterfall.
It's we lose a lot of water, isn't that right? Let's say we come
We did
on,
it. We
we
did it.
come on in mid-March, cut off at,
Okay, so
May,
there's 20 to 30, if we're the only ones on the
oh,
road,
yeah.
there's $20,000 to $30,000, dollars, probably more, a lot more dollars than just acre feet, loss. So that, and about, a significant amount of that is actual storage in the river.
Okay.
You have to, and it's getting, I think everybody knows there, it is getting much more difficult to run water in the river.
Yes.
We have, when we were doing some of the analysis for some of the litigation, the satellite and aerial analysis, that would be covered under executive
Yeah, I
session,
know
we'll
what
have to
you're
talk
talking
about it in executive session, but it's getting very difficult to run water in Rio Grande. So so you can guarantee you'll have that about the same amount. If you shut off for 2 weeks, you've lost everything and it'll happen again.
You double up.
But if we're not, if EPID's on with us or Mexico's on, I did look at the language, if Mexico's on, then we're okay.
So May goes on, see, we can try to do a March release.
Mid-March to
But, you know,
We need
mid-May
to
or
calculate, before we, I mean, you know, this was the discussion we were having before.
Right.
And, you know, we're aware, or I was aware that April release doesn't help row crop farmers.
Yeah,
I know that because we've always talked about it. But until we get all of the information together, we need to see would Mexico come on in March. They may not want to. Can we do it? We need a little more time, a little more information to really say, we can do like Robert says, our target date is this, we're working on it, but because we're not gonna ascertain between now and the 20th, which is next Wednesday, for sure, but I mean, we need, as we always try to do, to make our plans based on accurate, actual data, not any kind of guesstimates or whatever you want, estimates. And you can look at the scenarios. If we did an early release, what is this going to do? If we did an April release, because the demand in April is not as great for us
Or
down
May.
here, or May, because of the row crops, which is still probably 50% of what we service down here. So I'm guessing that. So we need to consider that. The other thing is, if you waste a lot of water, how long are we going to be able to go in the summertime, in the end of it? So we have to calculate and think about all that stuff, because if we encourage people to plant a lot, with an early release and then can't finish it out, it's a lot worse scenario.
Exactly. I agree with that.
So we have to, it's hard. You just have to think through it.
It's a big
And we can make the decision if you'll tell us, you know, under this scenario, early March release shut off, if Mexico comes on. And what are we looking at as far as dealing with just the water we have now, not what might come, because we don't have a clue, may not be any. We've had that out. Just let us know what you think, then we can set a release date.
You know, Johnny, if you go by what's there now, I would say just release in June.
In June, yeah, exactly like
Yeah,
last year.
just like last year.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking. Actually, April
Yeah.
5th is a move forward.
You know,
Quite a bit.
you
Well,
know,
yeah, it's
We got
a
that.
money.
You know, okay,
But does it happen?
no, you're right, but this is why I envisioned it for what you guys are telling me. I actually think it'll be someplace in between, but if VBAD goes on the fifth in Mexico, let's say they both go on, don't worry about it. Our 111 stays the same, it's not gonna change. Okay, so VBAD's may change. There's built-in reserve in the whole thing to pay for those losses. We know what the losses are, and so it's in there for a one-time release. 2 times it might be a different deal. We get a lot of discussion where we shut off because, you know, they've got a pending litigation in Albuquerque on the very issue, of which we're a party. So just because Mexico and EPCWID goes on doesn't mean we have to go on. It doesn't change our allocation. So if Robert doesn't have the orders in April 5th because nobody wants the water, then I would assume you wouldn't order any water, right? But the
Well,
water's gonna be there.
There'll be some, but it won't be row crops, I mean, surely you're gonna get the pecan farmers would rather do that around the wells, I can promise you.
Well, then.
You'll have orders, but
Then we'll start and that, and we're doing our efficiency's pretty good with the amount of water. For example, if you place an order of 400 or 350.
we've been pretty well staying in order of 500, because 500, PSB will take 150 of it.
Yeah.
And then Unit 6 will take another 100, so it doesn't leave a lot of water down to the valley left out of the 500-foot order, and that's how we've been doing it budget-wise the last couple of years.
And we'll spend, in other words, we can spend the budget, even if you have to go down to 450 or conserve a little because you don't have the demand, we can do that and we can make it last. You know, we'll give you the dates that it'll last to. You know, Robert's got it, it's got that under control. So.
run the 2 scenarios, because like I said, an early April release helps nobody in the row crop deal. Okay. Look at the scenario of opening 10th of March, whatever. If Mexico comes on and blah, 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 just see what it is, what are you don't have to make the decision that's the day, but tell us what the ramifications are. I mean, how much extra water is it gonna cost us? What will it do as far as if we don't come on until May, or something of that nature? And look at the different scenarios and tell us how much water will be used or will be lost. I guess that's the critical factor, is how much are we going to not avail ourselves to later, and forget about what the runoffs are, other than what you're thinking we can project 1.8 because we did it last year and it worked fine. I always increase it a lot.
Yeah, I know, which goes back to Miguel's point, there's never been a point in history, and we don't anticipate it even with climate change, that there won't be some reduction in the reservoir during the year. But you guys have, you know, maybe it's only 50,000 feet for us, whatever. I can run the statistics on it and say there's a 99.9% probability you'll have 50,000 acre feet. I can almost tell you that now, I haven't done the math. But, and it sure would help in these scenarios, they're not allocations, that you let me put some of that water in to get us a little longer, because if he puts 500, if he says, okay, I'm just gonna release March 10th, or whatever the date is, March 3rd, at 500 CFS and run the model, we're gonna run out in June.
Yeah, we want to do that,
I can tell you, I don't need a model.
Yeah.
Robert doesn't need a model. So I either gotta get below the 500, you know, and I don't think we can get below 350 and make it work.
No.
Well, the problem, Mark, is the figures we have today. Robert's right. If you look at where we are today, it's hard to move it.
So I need some statistical ability to look at that water that I know is gonna be produced.
Well,
But not all,
the
we're
1.8,
conservative.
The 1.8 allotment's based on that.
Yeah, 1.5, yeah, 18 inches.
Well, yeah, 18 inch is based on what you just said.
Based on us running the project like we ran it last year, on what we have.
With the wells and all that sort
And
of.
all that stuff, and really,
Put all those factors in, and then let's look at what, if we do it this, what are the ramifications? If we do it this way, what are the ramifications? And then we'll make a decision, because, and then you're gonna have to talk to Mexico, and, because Mexico may not be ready in March. You know, I'll tell you what, this weather that we've had, if it continues to rain, we're gonna be hard pressed to be ready in time. I mean, you out there mudded up, and it's a mess, so.
I know from talking to Mexico the past couple of years, they always been wanting that March,
Well, yeah, because it's all cotton, well, not all cotton, there's some cotton that
but
will.
it's that March that they want.
Well, sure. If they're ready, if they can. Well,
And-
let's do that rather than come up with anything now, but you can have, we're looking right now, it looks like April something, and we'll give you a closer date, first part of February.
And depending on how we do on water going forward here the next week or two, we may want to sell more water to the city. That's what I think you're talking about. They might want more water, so.
Well,
Well,
it
they will if-
automatically happens.
Right.
If there's water,
Once you all allocate, then it automatically.
It automatically.
Oh.
What about if Mexico comes on, Johnny, and they want water?
no,
Again?
Say if Mexico comes on and they talk to us in Chewy and that they wanna come on in March, what,
Well, I'm just saying, what does that do for the whole deal?
I checked the operating agreement, and it does, if Mexico goes on, then we don't pay the losses.
That's what I was thinking with.
We pay our share.
But still, we're gonna have big losses. Do we want to absorb those losses or what? That's what I say. You just
but
have
the
to-
losses already figured into the,
It's already figured in, it may increase the losses above a typical year, EBD may have some issues with that, but the way the agreement is, we have the right to do it, and that what those losses, if there's any additional losses that would be incurred from having a longer release period, which there will be, those are going to have to be absorbed by the additional losses. Part of it's already built in, like he says, for this. We do pay for the losses. I don't want New Mexico saying that we don't pay for groundwater recharge in New Mexico. We do pay for groundwater recharge in New Mexico. It's just that any additional will be covered under the operating agreement, and that they'll have to. Of course, if they hadn't pumped all so much groundwater out up there, we wouldn't be having this discussion, period. But, it'll take care of itself. I can model that. I can model the operator. Modeling the operator is not a problem. Modeling the demand isn't a big problem. Robert's got a pretty good handle on that. What's the problem is modeling the allocation.
Al, when you model it and kind of saying, you're doing like 20 days in March, cutting out and coming back in June, see what it looks like.
Well, you all look at it, the different scenarios and.
I can do that. I don't, there's all sorts of political, we'd have to talk in closed session.
Yeah, no, well.
That scenario involves litigation.
So you need to, tell us what all the ramifications, not just lost water, but as there are other legal issues. So, and we could even have a special meeting to do it if it's more critical enough. If it looks like it might be earlier or something like that, if not, we can stick with the April or something.
I mean, and then if you don't have the demand, don't order it.
Of course,
All I know is EBAD is gonna hold their meeting next Wednesday, and they're kind of, James was kind of waiting to see what we're gonna come up with, so he could present to his board.
Which one they're on first?
Who's on second?
Yeah.
I told them-
I'm second, yeah.
Based that we've already been told twice in different information, I told him, tell him, just like you told Keith, tell him that we'll release it February 1st.
Just the target date.
It's the target date, we'll change it, we'll update you on the.
We'll let you know
February
later what
1st.
we're going.
Well, Johnny made a good point, though, these newer cottons, even our long season cottons, are shorter by quite a bit than they used to be. So there can be some early April, and you can still plant, believe it or not, even peanuts, some of these newer varieties of peanuts. So
You can, it's not ideal, but you can, the problem is getting everything done.
Trying to get everybody
And,
done,
so,
yeah.
I mean, if everybody could order, irrigate the first week of April,
Yeah.
Everybody could do that, but you can't do that, so it's.
You can't do 35,000 acres in a week?
week and a half,
We can,
and then try to do the small tracks in between.
Yeah, maybe two small trucks.
Devil in the detail, so, you know. All right,
You
well.
just gotta understand that the return flow is gonna be where it is this year. It's practically gonna
That's really
be,
not even a factor.
it's not even practically none.
Gonna get past 500?
That,
No.
guys, that brings up a decision you can make, and Jay's gonna make a presentation on our stuff, but we've always planned for a March release in our construction and stuff. Is it gonna impact us after we get done? Yes, for the district, it'll get peed out faster, but on that issue, if you feel it's worthwhile, we could start trying to enforce all those February 15th completion dates. We built a 2-week window in, because we know when we tell people the 15th, we can get them actually out physically on the 1st.
That's what that DH.
Well, Pete's helped us, usually we take one of the wheeled excavators, because it's works a little better for us to place that on the job site. They would say, if you don't move it, we're gonna start moving it, but we can, and we
Well,
can
we'll
get
decide
it
as
done.
quickly as possible, get the information together, and then we'll get.
That might help a little bit, and your little bit of return flow, being able to get it in different places, because right now I'm surprised you can get it any place. We have construction and
I
everything.
know, we have construction everywhere, and thank God it's been wet.
And it's important construction.
Well, I know that, but
Do you have construction on Route 275 expansion on the west side? Yet? They're popping holes in
we
the,
don't even have applications. We have
I
applications.
think they were doing their new caissons and all kinds of crazy stuff.
They're expanding aerially with the bridge across Franklin Canal, they're not physically
But
within
they're
the right
not
of way.
gonna impact us this year, right?
But it's
All right,
just
Robert.
Okay, guys.
We'll work it out. Okay. And we're down to applications and licenses, no, we gotta set the allotment for
9C, and we need
number
9C.
12.
Very good. You don't have, we only have a draft allocation, the allocation we have allocated. If you wanna wait for your next
All
one.
right, wait till the next one, you wanna take over for application.
Sure.
Take a short break.
He's gonna do it. All right, so everybody, does everybody else, does anybody, are y'all rest?
I could use a break.
Let's take a short.
Take a break.
Short break.
Come first.
There's two stalls.
There's more over there.